is fading out. All right, year 40.
Woo!
Of the Sacramento Kings. And was it last year? Was last year year 100 of the franchise?
Yeah.
The oldest franchise in the NBA, the Sacramento Kings. Excuse me. And I'm ready. I'm bursting.
Yeah, I could tell.
Season 40? Year 40.
Season 40.
Yeah, because year 40 is, 2025, right?
Will be part of this season.
Yeah. Don't actually season 40, please.
That's not year 40.
It's not year 40. I mean, you want to start with
Sacramento
0.
Kings are only 39.
Right. That's what they tell their friends is that they're 39.
Yeah.
No,
again.
I am bursting. I'm ready. I'm excited. I cannot wait. Even though it's preseason, I'm ready to go, dude. It's Kings, Warriors.
This time it's for real.
This time it's for real.
Sound off.
Is this a must win?
Yes.
For the Kings?
No.
No? Okay.
But you have it written right here, and I want to ask you this question first.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Yes.
10 being title town, being a championship. Mm-hmm. What are your expectations?
My personal expectations. Carmichael Dave's personal expectations.
I personally believe.
I
wrote it down. I know the number you're picking.
I'll bet you you're wrong.
Okay.
I'll bet you you're high.
Okay.
I mean your number's high.
Yeah.
3.
Oh.
What'd you have? You have a what? You were low. I mean, in the spirit, I didn't want to say 1 just to be
because if they do that, then
nowhere to go.
They met your expectations.
They met my expectations.
7, you're like, hey,
the Kings
way better.
They have. I mean, they weren't healthy last year, but they've enjoyed relative health the last couple of years.
Well, the 3's pretty bad. Like, wouldn't that be a bad year? It has to be.
I would say for the 3 to be met for me, it would be they miss the playoffs again. That to me, anything less than making the playoffs, playoffs,
right?
Not play in, would meet the 3. If they made the play in like last year, that's a 2. If they missed all of it, that's a 1. And then anything above that. So I really do kind of have. I wouldn't say making the playoffs is a low threshold. That's tough to do, but in order to increase that 3, they just have to be an 8 seed.
Yeah, it's a weird, I think the byproduct of having the play-in has helped the league, but it's kind of changed maybe the overall preseason feel, at least for me, because naturally I want to say be in the top 6. That relieves some of that stress. There's a belief that you've obviously been a good team most of the year, depending on what 6 to 1 looks like, what the difference is. And the last couple of years, it hasn't been that big of a difference.
That's right.
But I mean, to some, let's just paint this scenario this way. They're 10th.
Mm-hmm.
They win the 10-9 game. Mm-hmm. They win that next game. And then they're playing the 1 seed and they won. Like, that's all fantastic. You're 4th. You're 3. And you lose in the first. Like, it's right. To me, there needs to be the postseason at the end of this, whatever that looks like for the Kings. And so that would be my goal. Naturally, it feels better to be a top 6. I mean, if you're 1, that's awesome. You're having a great year. But if you go out in the first round, what does it matter? Or
I'd much rather be an 8 seed that makes the second round than a 1 seed that's out in the first round.
Sure. But like, I think it's almost going to be really hard to predict. I think the way the West is, I think you want to be healthy at the right time and be playing well. But I think it's going to be matchups. So if you've got a team, like, for example, last year, we know what New Orleans did to the Kings. So if they made it in and they separated that plane and they had New Orleans in a playoff matchup, I still would have liked to have seen it, but the way it went, I don't know that they would have beat them.
That's right.
So is that bad luck? Just the wrong team? Like, I don't think Dallas was the best team. They had the right map and they got through. So they deserve to do that. So to me, on the year, I want them to be healthy. I want them to be feeling good about themselves, playing well. I guess my shorter answer would be a top 6, but I don't know that matters in a weird way. I mean, you'd rather have home court.
Sure.
You'd rather have all that.
Sure.
You want all the benefits. But I want them to be playing for another round.
That's exactly right. I need this team.
I'm going to say championship. Like a second round would sound great.
I think first round and out would be. I would look at it as almost like a lateral move from last year. Mm-hmm. Even though they didn't make the playoffs, it'd almost be a lateral move because
from the last 2 years.
That's right.
Really.
They've been there before. You got to at least make the second round this year. And the next two questions, I'll flip them because it's strength and weakness. The reason why, well, look, I keep the expectations low because that's my self-preservation, but I will keep saying it, and I want so badly to be proven wrong. I think their front court depth is going to be their Achilles heel. I do not believe. I believe the team as constructed right now, the 49 wins, the 4 seed, which I believe is what ESPN had them as, I think that's almost comically high. I don't think it's attainable unless it's one of those like they're healthy 100%, which they already aren't.
Yeah.
They all these styles make fights, matchup thing. They outscore everyone. I can even get on board with the whole, hey, second half of the season, that defense really looked great, and Keon Ellis in the starting lineup and all that. I do worry. I hope I'm wrong, but again, I'm just being negative right now. You know, is the Keon Ellis Cinderella story, is the slipper gonna whatever, you know, is but when it comes down to it, you have a front court that is incredibly either undersized or just shallow past Sabonis. I'm worried about that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair worry. I mean, I think that's that. So I'm more worried about that than I am about the defense. I think the defense is a little better than you think. I could be wrong on that one, but that's where I get back to matchups.
You could be right. I acknowledge you could be right.
Because I think in the past we'd say, well, they don't even have any good, like, who's their best defender?
Right.
Now I think we could give you at least a little bit of a list of Fox, Ellis, and Murray. I think
That's
those
right.
3 are good defenders.
And by the way, all the metrics on Sabonis say that he literally is one of the better big man defenders in the league. And it surprised me as much as the next guy, but the metrics showed that Sabonis had quite the defensive year last year, at least above what I think most people think, which is he's a sieve like Jokic.
Yeah.
And he's not.
Right.
And yes, I can see a world where you've got Fox, you've got Ellis, you've got Murray, and you've got Sabonis. And hey, that's a world I can live in. We'll talk a lot more about this later. What are their strengths? Let's make sure we get to that as well, and what we're looking for. We'll take a very quick break, 1 minute. When we come back, 3 for Madness, all the series going on in baseball. Who's the worst owner? We'll play that game, and something happened